Hello and welcome. My name is Debbie Reed. I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and today I am going to be making this card. Whoops. I'm going to be making this card from the Dandelion Wishes stamp set. This is the Dandelion Wishes in the annual catalog, and the sentiment is going to be from the part of my story. This is not a stamp that you can buy, but you can earn it. With a $50 purchase, you can get this free. So let's get started on our card. And I will show you the pieces that we're going to be using. We're going to be using a piece of Gray Granite cardstock. It is scored at 4 1/4, cut at 5 1/2. We have a piece of Whisper White for the inside, 4 by 5 1/4. A piece of Blackberry Bliss that's 4 by 5 1/4. We have a strip of Whisper White that's 5 by 2 1/4, a designer series strip that is 5 by 1 1/2. We have a piece of Blackberry Bliss that is 3 1/8 by 3 1/8, a piece of Gray Granite that's 3 by 3, and another piece of Blackberry Bliss that's 2 7/8 by 2 7/8. Let's get started on our card. First, we're going to fold our Gray Granite piece in half, give it a nice press with our bone folder. Then we're going to put our Blackberry Bliss piece on the base of the Gray Granite cardstock. Using Monotombo glue, you don't need a lot when you put the glue down. I like to line my card up on the grid paper, and we're going to just leave an 1/8 of an inch gap all around, just like so. And now we're going to take our designer series paper and our little Whisper White piece of paper. We're going to line this up on the card just so that it's evenly spaced, and I don't get too crazy here. I just kind of get a rough idea. Whoops. Let's try that again. Okay. And there we go. Now we're going to glue this white piece with the Monotombo glue. Don't need a lot of glue. We don't need it oozing off the edge. There we go. And now we're going to take our designer series paper. This paper was from the holiday catalog. It was Christmas paper, but I thought this side was really pretty, and it just goes to show you don't have to treat paper the way they tell you. You have to think outside the box and make it work for you. I could see this also being a 4th of July paper. And I also can see this stamp set being 4th of July paper. This could be the 4th of July firework display. So use your stamps. Think other than how they were just imagined for you to have them be. We're going to place this piece down, but before we glue it, we actually need to put our sentiment on here so we can know where to line this piece. So I'm going to just stamp this with our Memento Black Tuxedo ink, like so. And we're going to just place this right here on the card, like that. Give it a 3-second press, lift straight up, and that's beautiful. All right, sorry for the reach. We're going to glue this piece down. And this gives us a guideline where, our sentiment gives us a guideline where this is going to be lining up at. So that looks about right. That looks good. Now we're going to add a little bit of, we're going to use our embossing buddy. We're going to actually be embossing this other piece of Blackberry Bliss. This is the smaller piece. We're putting the embossing powder on here so that you don't get fingerprints, so that when you go to use your powder, it doesn't make a big mess. So we have the stamp prepared, ready for the Versamark. We're going to put the Versamark down. And we're going to position this on here, like so. And now we're going to take a little piece of paper so we can sprinkle our white embossing powder on here. I like to just pile it on here. I'm not worried about being sparingly with it. The more you put on, the easier it is to get a nice impression. I see I've missed a tiny spot there, so I'll just do it again. Put this back in the bottle. Clean up our little mess. There we go. Put the lid on so we don't have a mess. Now usually when I do this, I always have a little rag handy, just because I like to keep my working surface clean. Now what we're going to do is use the heat gun. And when people heat with the heat gun, they usually do this, and that's really not the proper way to heat. I'm not going to turn the heat gun on. You would actually just run this very slowly, and as it melts, you're just moving your heat gun with it. Because this is video, I already have one pre-done. So there we go, we're one step ahead. Now what I'm going to do is we're going to glue this onto the other gray granite piece. And I'm going to show you how to make a nice flat bow using a bottle. So gluing this down. Now after you emboss and you put this down, you can actually take a little rag and rub on, there's a hair on there, sorry. Rub on this and it gets all that powder off. So now we're going to take a piece of ribbon and a bottle. Where did my little ribbon go? Oh, ribbon, where did you go? Uh-oh, I've lost my ribbon. This is not good. Oh, there it is. Okay, hiding. Okay, we're going to take the ribbon and we're going to place it on a bottle. And you're going to take this and tie it like you would a bow, like you would your shoe. So where most people go like this, we're going to take it this way and give it a nice, crisp, tight pull. And then you're going to tie like you would a shoe, or tie a knot rather. You're going to put this piece under there, and you're still holding that piece. Give this a nice tight pull. Now you're going to lift this off, and we're going to take a scissor and cut this. And now this gets to be placed on here. So what I do is I flip it upside down. I take some fast fuse or tape or whatever you happen to have. In this case, we're going to have to use tape. I'm going to just tape this down. And we're going to tape this side down. And I didn't need to have this piece be so big, so we'll cut it down too. We want this a little tight so that it's